Welcome to the Darkstream, Voxday, voxday.blogspot.com, and Infogalactic News. If you pay any attention to social media, and since you're probably here from a Twitter alert, you must, then you know that there's been a bombing at, it looks like, the usual suspects. The reporting as many as 20 dead at a Ariana Grande concert in Manchester, in the UK. And, you know, that really strikes home because, you know, it wasn't that long ago that one of my kids was at a concert, okay? And all I can say is that if it was one of my kids, I don't think I would ever stop responding in kind. And so what I find hard to believe is the way that the West is so willing to tolerate this bullshit. Okay? This is not going to go away as long as there are Muslims living in the West. This is not going to stop as long as there are Muslims living in the West. Now, this doesn't mean that, you know, every Muslim is a terrorist. Of course not. This doesn't mean that that all of them think the same anymore. Then every Christian thinks the same. You know, but this is what happens in all Muslim countries. You know, it's not even a racial thing. And you know, you can look at China. Where does China have the most trouble? Where's China the most repressive? It's not in Tibet. Where they have the most trouble is a minority called the Uyghurs, I believe it's pronounced. Probably a bit wrong. But that is the Muslim minority in China. And the Chinese are, of course, dealing with this in their usual Chinese way, which is to say, in a rather ruthless and fairly brutal manner, colonizing things, sending in ethnic Chinese to take over the place and drive them out. You know, they don't say that, obviously, but that's what they're doing. And there's a reason why it was necessary for the Europeans of the Middle Ages and for the Europeans of the 16th century to fight to keep Islam out of Europe. You know, there was nothing, there was no way for them to compromise. Now, Europe and the USA are, the elites are functionally post-Christian. And so there's a vacuum. You know, atheism is a nothing. It is a vacuum. It has no values. It has no morals. It has nothing. And so it does not give a people the strength, the moral strength, or the intellectual confidence to defend their own civilization. You know, that is something that only comes from either a religion or a very, very strong ethno-nationalism. And so I'll get rid of this guy here. The problem is that the West no longer has the cultural confidence to defend itself. The West does not have ability to say, we will not accept this. You know, it doesn't matter what it is. I mean, in Minnesota, where I grew up, they are, the Scandi cucks there are having trouble even bringing themselves to ban the mutilation of the genitals of girls and young women. That is how fundamentally demoralized, literally demoralized, they have become. So it's not going to stop. It's not going to end. And so the West is going to have to find its confidence and its moral compass from the original sources. It's going to need to go back to Christianity and the ability and the willingness to say, this is right, this is wrong, and we will not permit anyone who violates these standards to live in our civilization. And so the problem is, for example, Aztec, I mean, it's not just Islam that is incompatible with Western civilization. My background is part Mexican. Aztec. Okay? Aztec culture is not compatible with Western civilization. I don't look Mexican, I don't look Native American either, but I'm both. I'm a mix. I look mostly like my English-Irish father. But we're not, here's the thing. We're not too far gone. That's ridiculous. This is something I like to point out. How many Christians were needed to take over half the world? How many were required? You know this. Answer the question. 11. 11 followers of Jesus Christ. And they were scared. They were scared. They were frightened. They were terrified. They were running away from the law. They were in hiding. And then they found the courage to go out, and 10 of the 11 went out and died for their faith. Okay? How many of you are willing to do that? How many of you are willing to stand up against the pressure of the state, against the invaders who want to conquer and kill and rape? More and more will. This is the thing. This is the thing. More and more are moving towards this. The trends of history are clear. What we're seeing is not a surprise. This is, this is not, this happens frequently. Yeah, but the Christian churches are not Christian. They don't worship Jesus Christ. It's churchianity. They worship Judeo-Christ. They love to talk. You go to one of those churches. I guarantee you, go to one of those churches that loves to welcome refugees and is collecting money from the feds to do that. I guarantee you that if you go and you listen to a sermon there, first of all, there's a very good chance it's going to be a female pastor in complete defiance of the Holy Bible. Secondly, even if it is a man, it's going to be a totally cucked man who is going to do nothing but talk about how evil white men are. They're going to, the sermons are going to be political in nature rather than religious. And they will almost never accurately quote the Bible, or especially any sayings of Jesus, during the sermons. So do not blame the corruption of the church on Christianity. It is not coming from Jesus Christ. I guarantee you that. And so, and this is one of the great ironies. The temptation of the world comes from ease. The destruction, remember, when Jesus talked about the way, what was the way that led to heaven, and what was the way that led to destruction? The wide and easy way is the way that goes to destruction. The hard way, the way that people hate you, the way that people call you names, the way that people persecute you, the way that people try to kill you, that is the way. If the world is praising you, if the world is telling you that you're doing the right thing, if the world is funding you, then there is no chance whatsoever that you are doing the right thing. You know, so those Christian churches are full of shit. Those Christian churches are not Christian, as far as I can tell. And so, you know, there was a reason why the Crusaders had the motto Deus legolt, God wills it. Now maybe they were right, maybe they were wrong. I don't know. I'm not God. I don't speak for them. But they believed. And, you know, what they did. How do I reconcile the universal message of Christianity and ethno-nationalism? It's very, very simple. The two, God created the nations. God did not intend to destroy the nations. Listen to what did Jesus say when the Samaritan woman came to him? He said, it is not right to throw the children's bread to the dogs. And so, I mean, here's the thing. Here's the thing that you fools, you godless fools don't understand. Your fate is death. Your fate is no public toilets, no sewage systems. Your fate is what you are seeing at the Ariana Grande concert. You have nothing. This is what post-Christianity looks like. Okay? Now there are two different things. There's genuine religious Christianity. Actually, there's three. There's genuine religious Christianity. There's cultural Christianity. And then there is pseudo-Christianity. Okay? And what we have right now is we have religious Christianity that is not influential anymore. We have cultural Christianity, which is hugely in decline. And then we have pseudo-Christianity, which is the version that is being put forth by the Pope, by the okay, you got to stop babbling your drivel here. Well, you do give a fuck about Native Americans. I am one, so there you go. But the point is that no, but look. If you're an atheist, do not talk about Christianity. Do not talk about Bible verses. You cannot, because you don't understand it. You don't understand any of it. It's just ridiculous. Oh, but Christianity is love, so therefore you have to welcome 60 million immigrants. That makes no sense. It completely contradicts literally everything in the Bible. Okay? No, you haven't read the King James Version 10 times, and you don't know it anywhere nearly as well as any Christian who's been going to studying Sunday school for years, okay? We know your little games, okay? I've debated numerous atheists who claim to know the Bible, and in each case, I de-pants them within the first 2 exchanges, okay? So just don't give me that. What I'm saying to you is that Jesus said he didn't come to bring peace. He came to bring a sword. He didn't say, he said, if you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one. The Bible talks about the nations. Okay? When it says there's neither Jew nor Greek, they're not saying that the nations don't exist. They're saying that in Jesus Christ, all are one. A Muslim is not in Jesus Christ. A Jew is not in Jesus Christ. A Hindu, an atheist, is not in Jesus Christ, and therefore that does not apply to them in the slightest. This is very easy to tell. Why? Because it also says there's neither male nor female in Jesus Christ. Does that mean that we pretend that boys and girls are the same? No, Christians don't. Christians don't. That is more post-Christian, postmodernism, lunacy. Colbinus, we're not talking about you, so, drop it. The point is that you need to understand that what you're seeing in the UK tonight, what you're seeing, it could have happened in Sweden too. They found a bomb at the airport there. We could have had a scene very similar to what happened at the Brussels airport the same night. That is not going to stop until we see a revival of Christianity, a Reconquista 2.0. It is not an accident that the only force that has dealt successfully historically with the resurgence of Islam. And so, you have a choice. If you want to live under Sharia, if you want to live in a state of barbarism, then keep rejecting Christianity. And so the Reconquista is going to happen. The nationalism is going to happen. The trend is clear. Binary thinkers always think that because something has happened for the last 10 years, the last 20 years, the last 50 years, that's the way things are going to be forever and ever, world without end. Amen. If you read history, then you will know that doesn't happen. So, are you going to force them to eat pork at the end of the sword? No. They're going to go back. They're not going to be allowed to stay in the West. The same way that they weren't allowed to stay in Spain. The same way they weren't allowed to stay in Austria. They come as conquerors. So you have 2 choices. You have 2 choices. Either you submit and surrender, or you win. Those are your 2 choices. And don't blame the people who are fighting. Don't blame the people who are going to engage, whether it's in China, whether it's in Africa, whether it's in the USA, whether it's in Europe, don't blame the people who are going to be engaging in the biggest project of ethnic and religious cleansing in history. It's not their fault. The fault lies with the people who created the problem. The fault lies with the multiculturalists. The fault lies with the people who created this situation. Everyone who advocated for immigration, everyone who lionized it, everyone who romanticized it, is to blame. And they will experience retribution for what they've done. How do we know this? Because history tells us. History tells us what always happens. And so it's not going to be any different than it is. It's not going to be any different. You know, a lot of people don't realize how common it is. I mean, do you have any idea how many Germans were driven out of Eastern Europe, you know, in the last, 60 years? Millions. Millions. And so, are we going to see it? Yeah, I believe we will. I believe it's going to happen. Okay, let's get rid of this loser. You don't welcome refugees, and you're not welcome here. And so the thing is that, you know, this is what people don't realize is this has been a war. This has been an invasion for 50 years. And the West is not innocent. You know, the West is experiencing the just consequences of its behavior. You know, we can't say, oh, well, you know, we of the West don't deserve this. Absolutely we do. And so, if someone is pro-welcome refuge, you can listen if you want to, but if you're going to keep talking about your own political positions on my Periscope, I'm going to block you. Okay? This is not a debate. You can listen if you want. I don't care what you think. I'm just telling you what I think. So anyhow, I think that what, I'm middle-aged. I am from the generation that romanticizes civic nationalism. I still have our generation is regretful. Yeah, this guy is a loser. So we are instinctive, we who are in our 40s, Generation X, we are instinctive civic nationalists. We want to give everyone a chance. We think everybody just wants to be an American, that sort of thing. What I can tell you right now is that the younger generation does not feel this way. The younger generation is, from my perspective, they're a little bit scary because they do not have the sympathy that the Gen Xers do. They grew up occasionally being outnumbered by minorities. They grew up getting picked on by Muslims or by Hispanics or whatever. They do not have the same sense of fairness or unfairness that my generation does. And that's what you have to understand. Because I play football, or soccer, we call it in the States, because of that, I'm around a lot of these younger guys. And I have to tell you, we talk about you have to go back. They don't care if they're sent back at all. You know, they're absolutely fine with the whole helicopter ride camp thing. And the generation after them, I suspect, is going to be even more intolerant, or whatever you want to call it, cruel, heartless, cold, etc. And they know, here's the other thing, they know to keep their mouth shut around older people who are going to, freak out and that sort of thing. Now, of course, you've got plenty of young SJWs, you've got plenty of stupid, welcome refugee girls and that sort of thing, of course. And those are all most always younger people who have absolutely no contact with them. Look what happened in Germany. There was a refugees welcome girl, daughter of a EU official. She went to a welcome refugees party, got raped and strangled on the way home. Okay, it's a hell of a way to get black-pilled, but welcome refugees. And so I've said for a long time, people have said, well, they were bummed out about Le Pen and all that sort of thing. And I've told everyone, it's not going to happen this election cycle. It's the next election cycle. Okay? These things take time. Remember, you've got the entire media. Desperately lying to people, desperately trying to create this false narrative and hold up this false narrative. Even people who are, right-wing, Paul Joseph Watson, to a lesser extent, Mike Cernovich, etc., they are civic nationalists. Why? Look at their age. I understand that. Like I said, I'm still emotionally a civic nationalist. The difference is I'm able to suppress my emotional reactions with intellect. Most people can't. And so it's always interesting, the shills and trolls. You're just constantly trying to disqualify, constantly trying to demoralize, But here's the thing, is that it doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what we think, what we say. The trend is clear. The trend is going to drive things. Social mood is going to drive things. It doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter what anybody says. The myth is that that controlling the narrative controls events. Controlling the narrative can influence events, the smaller events, but it cannot influence the larger trends. The larger trends are going to play out no matter what you do, no matter what I do, no matter what Trump does, no matter what the DNC does. So keep that in mind. The more history you read, the more you understand that these things are part of massive cycles. These things are part of cycles. Anytime you see, the farther you see movement in one direction, the harder it's going to snap back in time. And so, the first thing that I recommend is not giving into despair. The second thing I recommend is start getting serious. Start getting serious about your faith. Start getting serious about your philosophy. And stop thinking that these things just happen. They don't just happen. It's all part of the cycle. And you want to be in time. You want to be moving in the same direction as the cycle. And the cycle, for 60 years, the cycle has been going, for maybe more, it's been going towards multiculturalism, internationalism, globalism, centralization, all that sort of thing. Well, that's over. It ended around 2000. And now we're starting to see things snap back. And it's just beginning to start. It's just beginning to start. And so the bombing tonight, I don't know what the fatality toll is, but it was at 20 when I started this. I do think that the future will be much worse for the invaders than for the invadees. But, apparently it was a nail bomb. And so the backlash is coming. The killing season is coming. And there's nothing that we can do about it. We can talk all about, we should be nice to each other, we should be civil to each other, and all this sort of thing. But that's not going to happen. Not all of those fathers are just going to do a candlelight vigil and be so sorry that their kid got murdered at a concert. And so, I hate to see it happen. And yet, it's inevitable. So, that's why I think it's very important to get back to your Bible, get back to your faith, find a church that actually takes it seriously. And, Deus Vult. So, anyhow, have a good evening. I meant to do, talk about the leaks and Trump and all that sort of thing. Unfortunately, we can't, so have a good evening, and we'll talk to you soon.